Who would have guessed? So, I'm here to talk about programs that are actually offered by our physics club because we have no astronomy club. Occasionally one tries to get started, and typically whenever the motivated student who starts at graduate, it dies. But our physics club is doing a lot better, it's much stronger, so we kind of adopt the astronomy students and include them. So the first program I'm going to talk about we call Garage Physics. And as you can see from the logo, it's designed to be very hands-on because that's why a lot of students start in these majors. They like the tactile part of these sciences. They aren't there just to do programming or just to look at equations. They want to make something interact with something. And that often gets lost when you start your undergraduate career in physics or astronomy. You're in classes all the time and you're not making things. Or even when you are in a lab, it's a very, very structured environment and you don't have that kind of free play that you could have in your garage at home. And so this was a student proposal to kind of create that environment at the university in a safe way. So it was a student initiative for completely free lab space where we could explore physics in whatever way we wanted, so long as we were being safe. This was brought to one of the professors, Duncan Carlsmith, and he got the support of our undergraduate lab administrator and technician, Brett Unks, and they really helped us get rolling on this. They got us a lab space in the basement of our astronomy building where we moved in lab tables and just started talking to people in the educational labs or research groups about taking their old equipment that they didn't want anymore. Our electronics labs all just updated their oscilloscopes, so we had first dibs on all of the old oscilloscopes. A couple of them are there, people will use them for digital circuits, another one was broken, and we just took it because a student wanted to take it apart, see if they could fix it as a way of learning more about how they work. So the biggest actually barrier to getting this going was making sure we were following all the safety rules the department wanted us to, because as nice as this free lab space is, we have to make sure we're safe. An incident would be really damaging to our department. So our two major rules are the buddy system. You must always, always, always have someone in the room with you if you are going to have anything powered turned on other than the computer. And so this has led to both grad students and senior undergrads hosting sort of office hours where we're in the room just as that second person. So if you want to come in and tinker, you're free to do that. The other one is that everyone has to go through safety training before they are given a key to the room, and any violation of any of our procedures, that's it, you're out, your key's taken away, you're done. So we have more than 50 undergraduates who participate in some way, shape, or form in this program, which started about a year ago. We also have about a dozen grad students. Those will often kind of take leadership on a project, or if there's students, undergrads working on something, and they have no experience with LabVIEW, and they need to program something in LabVIEW. Grad students will help them get started, get moving, just kind of supervise. We also get interested faculty coming down now that word about our program has spread. They'll just kind of pop in and want to see what's going on, maybe provide an idea for a direction a project could take. So our goals are for students to be able to merge their inner researcher with their inner engineer and entrepreneur in a safe and relatively free environment. Again, you can pursue the aspects of lab experiments you may have done in a class that you didn't have time to when you took that class, or that weren't in the formal lab write-ups, so you couldn't do them. So some of the current projects include a group building a quadcopter. This is by far the most ambitious project anyone in our group has taken on. They are building it from scratch, ordering all the parts themselves, sometimes investing their own money in doing so, programming it. Their goal is to be able to fly it up and deliver a payload to anywhere on campus. So other projects much simpler are just doing website development for this group. It's a really marketable skill, and this is a really easy way to learn and benefit the group at the same time. We also really want to foster entrepreneurship. The Madison campus has tons of innovation and entrepreneurship competitions every single year. And those are kind of cornered by the engineering students right now. They have their senior design classes and they're very project-oriented. They've gotten really good at this. We want to get in on that. There are plenty of good ideas coming from undergraduate physicists and astronomers. We're just not as tailored towards working at things like this. So we're trying to get in on that market. And a goal we've set for ourselves is to have a project that came out of Garage Physics place in one of these competitions by the end of 2015. Kind of switching over, we also had our upperclassmen a couple years ago write a guide to undergraduate research for the newer students. And this is intended to be the blunt, honest version that you don't get even if you look on the internet or speak to someone from your department. Because as upperclassmen, we've had those weird experiences with how we got our research jobs. My first job dropped into my lap in a random meeting with a professor. Sometimes you get that lucky. Other times, there are professors where they are never in their office, and if you really want to work for them, you have to sit outside their office for a week when you're not in class and hope you catch them. And so that's one of those things that no one will ever directly tell you, but is really valuable to know. So we tried to put kind of all that information as honestly as we could in one spot for the younger undergrads. We also tell them, sometimes as much as you want to think you get right into the nitty-gritty doing hard science that's valuable and publishable, sometimes you spend 6 months soldering circuits first. Prove you're valuable to your advisor, then you get to do a much more publishable sort of project. So trying to keep all of the realities of undergrad research right there. And lastly, the last one we're going to talk about today, rather, is our Meet the Speaker program. So the department has a cloakroom speaker come in once a week on Friday afternoons to speak to the department about their research. And afterwards, we have the good fortune of getting them to come into our club room for an hour and just talk with us about whatever we want. Sometimes they go around and ask every single person about the research they're doing or what they're interested in if they aren't currently doing research. Other times we get to ask them about graduate school admissions, their specific field, their career path. Sometimes this wanders completely off track. We spend time just discussing whatever fascinates us, and we want to with the speaker. This has really rewarded our undergraduates. It's gone so far as to one of our graduates, who's now a first-year grad student, met his now graduate advisor in one of our Meet the Speakers, and that kind of gave him the in when doing his grad school application. He made an impression in this environment and was able to successfully move on from there. We do a lot of other things too, but I only have 7 minutes to talk, so. But this is my last slide. So we have a poster downstairs as well. That'll be up for the poster session all day. Feel free to come find me down there. I'll be down there for sure by 5 if you want to come know more about what we do. And I'm good for questions. Great. Questions? Okay.
How long did it take them to do the quadcopter, and how many people were working on that?
It's still in the works. It started this fall, and I don't have an exact place on their progress. Their programming for it is really far along. I think the actual construction is where they're being held up, partially because they want to take things outside and test them. And we're in Wisconsin, and if you're not aware, there's like a -60 wind chill today, so that makes it a little difficult. But so yeah, they're hoping to have it fully functional by the end of next semester, so May.
Okay, was it an Arduino thing that they were using? Or
I believe they're using Arduino stuff, yeah.
Other questions? Yes.
How does your club get funding? Especially for the garage physics projects, how do you fund all the parts and equipment?
So the club in general, we get some funding from the department and some funding from our student government, the ASM. For garage physics specifically, we get a small amount of money from the department, and a lot of the rest we get from grants. We have 2 people who got very good at writing grant applications for this program. Professor Carlson also really helps out with that. When we were trying to get it going, he got an Excellence in Teaching Award and put the grant money from that towards helping start garage physics, which was really wonderful. And so we do that, and as well, sometimes people will sink their own money into their projects. It also helps not so much for things like the quadcopter that are very ambitious, but smaller scale. We are using pirated parts for the most part. We're using the things from labs that other people don't want, so we get them for free. So that helps a lot too.
Yes.
So being that this is AAS, our astronomy related students
They have been, yeah. We have people who are just for the fun of it, trying to make a handheld telescope on their own, working with lenses that they can just get pirated from labs and things. Very small scale, obviously, because we are using just parts we can pick up around. But yeah, definitely. And this is another one of those things where we have a lot of students who are interested in astronomy and want to do that as a career. But it's still fun for them to do, especially like classical mechanics experiments where you get to throw things or bounce things and smack things together. That's fun for everyone, including astronomers. And so just having that free space to play with it is benefiting everyone.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the mic here.
Great.
Staring at me like I should start.
Every
It's
time we have to wait.
I just want to say thank you for giving us an example that starts off with folks in the physics department that might bridge over to the astronomy field, especially as a self-proclaimed gearhead. That's why I got into physics, and for me, at the University of Washington, that's what brought me from physics to astronomy, was tinkering and playing and building things. And I actually built some stuff for the Monash Ridge telescope that was presented earlier, but I was a physics major that didn't really understand astronomy yet. And for me, it was the application of building things that got me from physics to astronomy. So I think it's a great example that you bring up, and it illustrates a little more of the breadth of career path that's available for all of us in physics and astronomy. So thank you for bringing it up.
And with that, let's thank our speaker.